Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amma ba'da, habati fillah. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, accepts our good and forgives our evil, protects us from kulli su' wa makruh, blesses us all with ikhlas, with thabat. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all with ilm nafi' wa rizqan tayyib wa amalan mutaqabbilan. Habati fillah, one of the things which distinguishes Ahl Sunnah from Ahl Bid'ah, and in general, we might say distinguishes the scholars of Fadl, those superior scholars, the scholars of excellence, versus people who are not favored with that same trait. And the trait I wanted to talk about was Hikmah, is wisdom. And linguistically, Hikmah, it refers to wada' shay fi mawdu'ihi, that you put everything in its proper place. For example, if someone were to come into my office and they were to take a book on fiqh, to look at it and so forth, and then they put it in its improper place. This is, maybe linguistically, we might refer to this as an adama hikmah, that they don't have, that literally they're not placing, I put my books on Tawheed, or I like this wall right here to be Tawheed. I like this to be Aqidah, that I can reach to it, and these are important books of issues I want to get into in the near future. So they didn't put it in its proper place. Now, why I want to mention this is because we see, often we get a backlash from the Takfeeris and various other Mubtadi'ah, and people who are maybe just not well versed in Islam or in their studies, or they have naqs, they have shortcomings in particular areas. So everyone wants to speak without knowledge. So one of the things more recently, one of the Takfiris, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide them, mentioned that about the some issue, they avoided the issue of basically takfir mutlaq, takfir ma'ayyan, that you make, that takfir is divided into two types. There's takfir, which is like a wasf, it's like a general description. For example, whoever does XYZ, they're a disbeliever. For example, whoever makes sujood to a person, or whoever worships besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala another deity or being or item, then they are a disbeliever. That's what we refer to, that's a wasf. That means that's a description. That's like a general description of someone who's left the fold of Islam. Okay, we call that takfir mutlaq, the general takfir. Takfir ma'ayin is when we talk about a specific individual. So-and-so did this, they're a disbeliever. They fell into this act of disbelief, so they're a disbeliever. Now, we've talked extensively, done countless videos, a master's thesis about the issue of takfir, and really a PhD thesis which actually dealt with more or less some of the same issues and masail, but issues that evolved from the issue of takfir and this extremism. So some of these mubtadi'ah, for example, this particular individual commented and said, the Takfeeris say this, the Murji'ah say this, and Ahl Sunnah say this. And we have to highlight the fact of there are so many details to what this individual is trying to claim. And it shows to me that they have a very surface acquisition of knowledge. It's very, it's on the surface. It's not in depth about the issue of takfir. And that's why they should just be quiet. Why is it so hard for people just to be quiet? If you disagree with someone, just be quiet. You don't have to, spit ignorance and spit slobber to the left and the right, to get your opinion voiced. And then maybe years later you find out, hey, I was pretty stupid and jahil, and then you've committed a sin because you spoke without knowledge. So what we find is so many people are so eager to speak without knowledge. How does this have to do with hikmah? Because hikmah shows us that there's a time to speak and there's a time to keep silent. There's a time to acquire more, and there's a time to acquire, to avoid controversy and issues. And also the wisdom shows us that a person of wisdom is not always going to be into argumentation and debating and trying to push their opinion and agenda, especially when it's so vague what they're talking about, and when the issue's been dealt with countless times. So this wisdom is not something everyone is blessed with. That's a favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I don't know, there are many athar of the Salaf and the classical scholars, rahimahumullah jami'an, about hikmah, about wisdom, and treatises, books that they've written and letters and so forth. And I'm not sure if hikmah is something that, maybe it's something you do acquire, because a lot of times we say someone is wise over time and they gain this wisdom through experience and age and what have you, maturity. And some people are blessed with it, period. Allah's just favored them with that. But it's very important for us to study, to cultivate our knowledge, to put everything in its proper place. And so the last point I want to mention is what you find is some of the people are so eager. They might have studied a little bit about Takfeer and a little bit about Aqidah and a little bit about this and that, but they're so eager. Tasrifi tabdi' or tasrifi takfir. They're in a quick hurry to declare someone to be an innovator or to be a disbeliever, that they don't understand all the wisdom and, plain and simple, the knowledge, the shurut, conditions, mu'ani', prohibitors, to making takfir, and all the other issues and the criterion. But instead, a person of who lacks his wisdom, that they rush to speak, rush to involve, rush to comment. And we just ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, to forgive us all, guide us all, protect us all, bless us all with ilm nafi, rizqin tayyib, wa amalan mutaqabbalan. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.